The sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden hue over Cedar Grove, where the air was thick with summer warmth and the scent of freshly mowed grass. I made my way down Maple Street, the pavement warm beneath my sandals. Every step echoed in my mind, a rhythm of anticipation and dread as I approached the place that held the secret to my past. The quaint little house with the white picket fence stood like a relic of happier times, memories etched into the walls. I hesitated for a moment, my heart hammering against my ribs like a drum. Running my fingers through my dark hair, I took a deep breath. "You can do this, Leela," I whispered to myself, a quiet resolve mixing with the sweet scent of honeysuckle drifting through the air. As I reached the front door, the beautifully varnished wood gleamed in the fading sunlight, almost taunting me. I could still hear the voices from inside, laughing and sharing stories of simpler days. It was an odd juxtaposition of happiness wrapped in the cold reality of betrayal, one that had haunted me for too long. With a trembling hand, I knocked, the sound breaking the stillness. It was a few moments before the door swung open, revealing Mrs. Reynolds, a warm smile plastered on her face that faltered when she saw me. "Leela, what a surprise. We haven't seen you in ages." Her voice was syrupy sweet, like the lemon cake she always baked, inviting yet somehow sour beneath the surface. "Hey, Mrs. Reynolds," I said, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. "Do you have a moment to talk? I really need to speak with you." Her brow furrowed ever so slightly, and I noticed the faint lines on her forehead deepen. "Of course, dear, come in." I stepped inside, the cool air brushing against my flushed skin. The familiar scent of the living room enveloped me, the mixture of floral air freshener and burnt coffee. The same worn-out couch sat in the corner, its fabric faded from years of use like my memories of happier days. "Would you like some tea?" she offered, moving towards the kitchen, her steps light and practiced. "I just made a fresh batch." "No, thank you," I replied, watching as she busied herself. I could feel the weight of the conversation pressing down on me, thick like the heat outside. "I really needed to talk to you about my mom." She paused, her back to me, the only sounds the gentle clinking of cups and the low hum of the refrigerator. "Your mother, dear, is everything all right?" I took a breath, steadying myself against the emotional tide that threatened to drown me. "No, Mrs. Reynolds, everything is not all right. I need to know what happened. What you know." She turned, her warm expression now cautious. "Leela, please," I interrupted, urgency creeping into my voice. "You were close to her. You were the last one to see her before she," I swallowed hard, the word died tasting bitter on my tongue, "before she left." Mrs. Reynolds' eyes softened as she took a seat across from me. "Leela, it's been so long, the memories are faded and things were complicated. Your mother was going through a lot." Complicated. I loathed that word. It was the perfect cover for betrayal. "You need to tell me, as her best friend, just what happened. What did she tell you?" Her gaze dropped to the coffee table, a slight tremor in her hands betraying her calm demeanor. "She had her reasons for leaving, Leela. I can't pretend to understand them all. She was carrying a heavy burden." A heavy burden. Those words felt heavy themselves, and with each tick of the clock, soft and steady, I could feel my anger simmering just beneath the surface. "What burden? Why wouldn't she talk to me about it? Why did she just leave me?" I leaned in closer, my heart pounding as frustration spiraled into rage. "Did it have to do with Dad?" "Your father," Mrs. Reynolds hesitated, taking a slow breath. "He loved her, Leela, but there were complications." Complications. The word echoed in my mind, mingling with the hurt I had carried all these years. "Were you two having an affair?" I spat out, the accusation hanging thick in the air, and a chill traveled up my spine as her expression changed. "Is that why she left?" A flicker of surprise crossed her eyes, followed by something darker, shame or maybe guilt. "No, dear, it wasn't like that." "It never is it?" I snapped, my voice trembling as memories flooded back, my father's empty chair at the dinner table, the silence that followed my mother's absence. She was gone for so long, it must have been something bad. "Leela," something that left me with nothing but questions. I interrupted, my frustration boiling over, each word tinged with the hurt of 1,000 sleepless nights. "Why wouldn't anyone tell me the truth?" Stunned silence reigned in the small living room, the walls seemed to close in on me like the walls of a cage. I wanted to scream, to tear down the barriers that isolated me from the truth, to make it known that I was not some naive child anymore. Mrs. Reynolds finally spoke, her voice low and measured. "Sometimes the truth is too heavy to bear, Leela. Your mother was a complicated woman. She had her demons just like everyone else." "What demons?" I pressed, my heart thumping painfully as anger coiled tightly around my chest. "Was it my father? Was he abusive?" Her eyes darkened, the weight of my words sinking deep into her heart. All I can say is that there were things she didn't want you to know, truths that would hurt you, truths she thought would be best left buried. Buried? What do you mean? I felt the knot in my stomach tighten as if a great burden was crashing upon me. What could possibly justify just leaving? Mistakes were made, she finally admitted, her gaze full of regret. She made choices that seemed right at the time, choices you cannot understand. Enlighten me then, because I really don't understand why she would abandon me. Why didn't she trust me? Each word felt like a small dagger, piercing through the layers of her defenses, each one revealing a new layer of hurt, both mine and hers. Mrs. Reynolds pressed her lips together, taking a deep breath as if steeling herself. Your mother, she was afraid of what you might become if you knew. She thought it would be easier for you to forget, to live your life without knowing. Forget what? That my mother disappeared? I felt my voice rise, equal parts incredulous and bitter. She thought that was better. Not just that, she said, her eyes pleading. There were dark things, Leela, things she didn't want to drag you into. You may think your pain is still fresh, but your mother dealt with her own demon long before she left. Everything she said struck me with the force of a winter storm. What do you mean, what kind of dark things? Her voice dropped, now almost a whisper. Leela, she was involved in something dangerous, the kind of danger that twists people into shadows of who they were. Danger. Was she involved with someone? My heart raced, each new detail unraveling my expectations and weaving in a tangle of uncertainty. Who? I cannot say, she replied, urgency creeping into her tone. You must understand, for her sake as well as your own, some truths should remain hidden. Hidden? I leaned forward, my heart racing. Was she in trouble? Did she cost someone their life? I could feel every muscle in my body tense as panic flared in Mrs. Reynolds' eyes. No, Leela, she didn't hurt anyone. She was trying to protect you from the dangers of her choices. That is why she left. Protect me? A bitter laugh escaped me. By abandoning me, leaving me to wonder if she was dead? She thought it would be safer. Safer for whom? She left me with a hole in my heart. Mrs. Reynolds' face fell, her voice dropping to a hush. Leela, I know this is hard to hear, but I truly believe she was trying to protect you. Maybe one day you will understand. Understand what? I snapped, my veins boiling with a simmering anger and confusion. What kind of mother walks away? They carry burdens that can break them. Sometimes they think it is easier to leave, her voice faltered, and I saw a flicker of sadness in her eyes that mirrored my own. To let go. My heart was racing as she spoke, but it was not her sorrow I felt, it was my own, the burden of betrayal that had settled onto my shoulders like a cloak I could not shake off. I don't want to let it go, I hissed through gritted teeth. You have to. Enough, I roared, the sound reverberating in the small space like thunder. You don't know what it feels like, do you? Her eyes widened, sorrow washing over her features. Leela, no, please don't pretend to know my pain, I said, clenching my fists. You have no idea what it meant to lose her without answers. I won't live in the shadows of her choices. For a moment, silence filled the room again, the air thick with tension and unresolved emotions. Then what will you do? Mrs. Reynolds finally asked, her voice soft yet firm, probing me to think beyond the boundaries of my fury. I will find the truth, I replied, my voice steadier now, a fierce determination igniting the embers of anger into a flame. I will uncover whatever it is she hid. I owe her that much, and I will not rest until I know everything. Leela, be careful, she warned, her tone a blend of concern and caution, a motherly instinct struggling against the tide of her own past. Some truths bring danger with them. I stood up, feeling the adrenaline surge through my veins. Danger is nothing compared to the emptiness left by her absence. I will face it all, whatever it takes. Just promise me, if you dig too deep, you will know when to stop, she cautioned, her eyes revealing a glimpse of fear for what I might uncover. Looking into her face, I saw not just the worry of a friend, but the shadows of her own past reflected in her eyes. I crossed my arms, nodding slightly, but a fire flickered within me, one fueled by the desire to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. I will find the truth, Mrs. Reynolds, I reaffirmed, the resolve solidifying in my chest like unyielding steel, and I refused to let fear dictate my path. With that, I walked towards the door, every step resonating with a newfound purpose. The sun dipped further down, casting long shadows behind me as I stepped outside, where the brilliance of daylight dimmed into the muted tones of twilight. I inhaled deeply, the weight of determination coursing through my veins. Cedar Grove would not hold my past hostage any longer. I needed to know everything and make my mom's secrets unravel, even if it meant stepping into the darkness lurking beneath the surface, where danger and truth intertwined like an intricate dance. The wind howled through the stoic trees surrounding Cedar Grove as I stood on the cracked porch of my childhood home, the biting cold nipping at my cheeks. The once vibrant paint was now peeling, exposing the weary wood beneath, a reflection of my own fraying mental state. I gazed at the dilapidated structure that had once held so many memories, both sweet and sour. In the depths of my heart, revenge simmered like the bitter coffee I had sipped earlier, spurring me to action. "This place has seen better days," I muttered to myself, the words barely escaping my lips, swallowed by the wind. As I stepped inside, the creaking floorboards protested under my weight, each step stirring echoes of my past. The scent of mildew mixed with the faint smell of burnt wood lingered in the air, making me shudder. It reminded me of the fire that had claimed so much. "You thought you could escape, didn't you?" I whispered to the shadows in the corners, teasing my own self-righteous anger. The shadows, of course, had no answer. But I knew better. The ghosts of all my memories were gathering here, as if they were waiting for something significant to occur. I clenched my fists, determined and resolute, feeling the familiar surge of adrenaline dance through me. "This ends now," I said aloud, my voice firm and resonant against the vacant rooms. My first instinct was to head to the basement. That was where it all began, where my world had turned upside down. I could hear the muffled laughter echoing in my mind, a reminder of the betrayal that had taken root in that very space. Even now, it felt suffocating as I opened the creaky door to the stairs that led downwards. "Be careful what you wish for, Leela," I whispered, my mantra acting as both a warning and encouragement as I descended. Each step felt heavy underfoot, weighted by regret and longing. As I reached the bottom, the faint light that trickled in through a small, barred window barely illuminated the room, revealing empty shelves and old furniture draped in sheets like ghosts. It was here that I had discovered the truth about Alex and Jen, two people I had trusted more than anyone. My heart raced as I approached an old trunk. It had belonged to my mother, a relic filled with memories I still held dear. But the real treasure was buried beneath it, the evidence I needed to carry out my plan. Digging through layers of dust and cobwebs, I pulled the trunk open, my fingers trembling with nostalgia. Inside, old photographs and yellowing letters unfolded like delicate petals. Each item held the weight of history, but I was searching for something darker. "There has to be proof," I murmured frantically, sifting through the contents with growing impatience. Just as despair threatened to swallow me, my fingers brushed against a thin folder, rigid and unwelcome. My heart leaped. I drew it out, dust motes swirling around it like angry specters. The faded papers inside were all I needed to begin. "You thought you could erase everything, didn't you?" A cruel smile crossed my lips as I read the contents. It was incriminating evidence of how Alex had taken advantage of me and how Jen had betrayed our friendship, cashing in on my vulnerability when I was at my weakest. "This is just the beginning," I told myself as I tucked it securely under my arm. I took a deep breath, my mind racing through the next steps. Callous changes from the past deserve sharp consequences in the present, I thought, justifying the surge of excitement curling in my belly. I turned back to the stairs but paused, listening. There was a sound coming from the upstairs, a voice familiar yet distant. "Leela, are you here?" It was Jen. I had not expected her back so soon. Panic surged through me, a tidal wave threatening to pull me under. "Stay calm," I whispered to myself. There was no escaping the confrontation. The confrontation had come to me, and it was ready to rumble. I snuck back to the basement door and closed it softly, my heart racing. The floorboards above creaked under her weight. I pressed my back against the door, focusing on slowing my breathing. "Leela, I know you are down there. You can come out. We need to talk," Jen called out, her voice laced with feigned concern. How ironic, I thought, clenched fists trembling with rage. "Talk? Is that what you call it, Jen? We need to talk." "You mean I need to listen to your excuses?" I thought bitterly. I had rehearsed this moment 1,000 times in my mind, every scenario playing out to perfection, but facing her in the flesh was entirely different. With a deep breath, I summoned every ounce of courage before I cracked the door open just wide enough to peer out. She stood at the foot of the staircase, her expression a mixture of worry and determination. "What are you doing here?" I asked, trying to keep my tone neutral, but the tremor at the end betrayed my simmering emotions. "I came to check on you. I was worried. After everything," she said, gesturing vaguely. "I know this place holds a lot of memories for you. I just thought you might need someone." Need someone? The nerve of her. The audacity burned my throat like acid. "You mean you thought I might need the very person who helped shatter my entire life?" I shot back. My voice echoed in the empty space, and I could see the facade slipping from her face. Leela, I know you are hurt, but things are complicated, she stammered. Complicated? Complicated is when your Netflix subscription ends unexpectedly. What you did to me was betrayal, plain and simple. I snapped, unable to contain the rage that coursed through me. Her eyes widened, and for a moment, I felt a flicker of satisfaction at the surprise I had managed to evoke. Leela, please, let's not fight. I came here to make amends, she pleaded, but I could hear the tremor in her voice, the way she was already backpedaling. Amends? How do you even begin to make amends for breaking someone's heart? I challenged, stepping closer, the heat radiating off my body mingling with icy confidence. Jen swallowed hard, visibly flustered. I didn't mean for it to happen that way. I wanted to tell you, but timing is everything. Timing? I interrupted, disgust creeping into my voice. You had months to come clean, Jen. You sat there, sold me stories of friendship while you were busy in the sheets with Alex behind my back. Timing was never the issue. Honesty was. You have to understand it was a mistake, she urged, a desperate edge infiltrating her voice. Mistakes are things we learn from. What you did was malicious, and what you or Alex did to me hurt me beyond repair. My words hung in the air, thick with unsaid consequences, while the truth bore down on us like a heavy cloud suffocating the last bits of light. I am not the person you think I am, she whispered, her bravado faltering as tears glistened in her eyes. You think you know me, but you don't have the whole story. Instinctively, I took a step back, my heart hammering in my chest as I prepared for the revelations she would inevitably toss my way. You want to talk about stories? Fine, tell me your side. But just know, Jen, this isn't a fairy tale where you get to rewrite the ending. Her lips parted, but she struggled to find words. You trust me enough to listen to my side, right? Just give me a chance, she said, the vulnerability peeling away layers of her defensiveness like an onion. Swallowing hard, I felt the war within me. One chance, I said finally, my voice low and steady. But if you lie, if I find even a hint of deception, you will what? She interrupted, her brows knitting together. What will you do, Leela? I will end you, I hissed. Do you really think I am playing here? I am done with the games. For a heartbeat, silence enveloped us as the uncertainty spread its fingers in the air, thickening the tension like a knitted blanket. Fine, she relented finally, crossing her arms defensively. You want to know? You deserve to know. It was a favor for a favor. I didn't intend for it to go that far, but then, she hesitated, struggling to find the right path forward. But then, I prompted, pushing her impatiently. Because this may be your last chance, Jen. Okay, when that happened, it was meant to be a one-time thing, but he became so possessive and I didn't know how to step back. It felt like I was losing control, and when you found out, I panicked. I didn't think it would hurt you this much. She bit her lip, her eyes glistening, pleading for some semblance of understanding. What you did to me was far less complicated than what you did to yourself. Sometimes it felt good to be in control. Leela, I know I messed up. I came here to talk, not to fight. I want to make it right, she implored. Make it right? You cannot ever make this right. My voice grew steely, and I could see her attempting to piece together how to salvage the shards of our broken history. Each word fell from her mouth like an apology unworthy of acceptance. I advise you to leave. I do not think anything good can come from this conversation, I said, emotionless, and I advise you to keep your distance. I tried to sound devoid of sentiment, but my heart quickened with every breath. She hesitated, caught in her thoughts, wrestling with a sudden realization that perhaps our story was not as entwined as it once was. Leela, please. Her voice trembled as if the very foundation of our friendship hung in the balance, fraying in front of us. You were my best friend. Best friends do not betray one another, Jen, I clarified, my voice steady and cutting through the tension like a razor. Once you choose betrayal, you forfeit your right to be forgiven. She stood there, the weight of my words sinking into her conscience. I turned on my heel, pushing back the need to dwell on the past. Get out, Jen, I ordered, but not without a sliver of doubt creeping in my heart. She lingered for a moment, emotions swirling in her eyes like storm clouds. Leela, I need you to understand that I am so sorry. Sorry does nothing for me, I shot back. You should have thought about that before you climbed into bed with the man I loved. And with that, I closed the door between our worlds, the weight of the silence pressing against me like a heavy stone. As I stepped backward and leaned against the locked door, I craved the solace of the basement. The revelations had stirred something deep within me. A new fire ignited, the debate over compassion vacated, replaced by a hunger for vengeance. Should I truly give her another chance? Would that chase her dreams, or would it simply set me back on the path of pain and heartbreak? Doubts wove together, spun from my memories of loyalty betrayed and trust shattered. I had played by the rules, given my heart, and all I ended up with was an empty shell. Glancing once more at the fragile documents still clasped tightly under my arm, a surge of determination glistened in my chest. Though the scent of mildew still lingered, I felt as if I had stepped into a new resolve. Now, it is time to unleash the storm. I strode back into the womb of shadows, leaving behind whatever small semblance of friendship remained, ready to reclaim my power and ensure that when everything crumbled, the foundations wouldn't just disappear. They would be torn apart, methodically and completely. This was where my journey would begin. This was where they would learn that I was not to be trifled with anymore. That night, as the wind rustled outside and the world went on unaware, I put pen to paper, crafting the first of my many steps toward revenge. It had begun. Allens would pay dearly for what he took, and no matter who stood in my way, I was determined to make it right on my own terms. I could feel the familiar pit in my stomach as I approached the almost abandoned bar on the outskirts of Cedar Grove. The flickering neon sign above the door was like a warning beacon, telling me I was headed to a place where bad decisions were made and old memories loomed. But it was also a place where I could hatch my revenge, and at that moment, the need for closure overwhelmed my hesitation. I pushed the heavy wooden door open, and a rush of stale air encircled me, the smell of spilled beer and old smoke lingering in the corners like ghosts of nights long past. Well, well, look who finally crawled back. A voice boomed from the dimly lit back corner. It was Max, the bartender, slinging drinks like he always did. He was the only person in town who never held my past against me, at least not openly. I managed a half smile, feeling the tension in my shoulders ease just a bit. "Hi, Max," I replied, my heart racing slightly as I stepped further into the big, dimly lit space. The low chatter of hushed voices and the clink of glasses filled the air, but it all felt surreal, detached from my purpose. "Can I have a whiskey neat, please?" "Coming right up," he said, wiping the bar with a rag, shaking his head like he knew what I was up to even before I did. He set the glass down in front of me, the amber liquid swirling like a tiny storm inside it. Taking a deep breath, I lifted the glass and sipped. The burn traveled down my throat, igniting a fire in my chest that I hoped would warm the icy feelings wrapping around my heart. I glanced around the bar. A mix of familiar faces and strangers hid in the shadows, some huddled over cards, others absorbed in their drinks. I was looking for someone specific. The doors swung open, and in walked a tall figure. My breath caught in my throat as the light caught the unmistakable features of Eric Donovan. He looked just as I remembered, cocky smile, tousled dark hair, the kind of guy who thought the world revolved around him. The former king of Cedar Grove, now just a faded version of himself who still carried an air of confidence that grated on me. Had it really been 2 years since I last saw him? The last time he'd stomped on my heart and danced around my dreams like they were made of ashes. Seeing him now made the contempt simmer in my veins. I could practically smell the satisfaction in him from across the room, and it took everything in me not to march over there and unleash all the bile I had stored up for him. "Hey, Leela," Max interrupted my thoughts, sliding onto the bar stool next to mine. He could sense the weight on my shoulders, even through the layers of revenge I was wrapping myself in. "You okay? You get that look on your face when you're ready to explode." "I'll be fine, Max," I said, forcing my voice to stabilize. I took another sip of my drink, the whiskey burning down my throat once more. "Just didn't expect to see him here. Eric?" He chuckled softly, glancing back at the cluster of people surrounding Eric. "He thinks this place is still part of his high school kingdom, like he owns the town or something. I think he's got no idea how far he's fallen." It was true. I had watched Eric rise and fall, but that didn't negate the hurt he had caused when he tossed aside our dreams like worthless scraps. "He doesn't own it," I muttered darkly, my thoughts swirling like the whiskey in my glass. "But I think he thinks he does." "Let him be," Max advised, leaning back. "You know how he is, just pretends that life is perfect while the rest of us can see through it. But what if I didn't want to let him be anymore? What if Eric needed to see the mess he had left behind?" I glanced over at him again, and he caught my eye. For a split second, our gazes locked, and a rush of memories washed over me. I remembered the way he used to laugh, how he could brighten a room just with his voice, and then the day he tossed it all away like I was nothing. I could see the recognition in his eyes, the flicker of confusion followed by that cocky grin. "Well, well, if it isn't the ghost of heartbreak past," he boomed, strutting toward me. "Leela Harper, didn't think I would see you back here. Did you finally come to apologize for ruining my life?" I clenched my jaw, fury surging through me. "I didn't ruin your life, Eric. You blew your chance with me and then walked away without a second thought. What do you want? A medal for being a sad little girl? He taunted, leaning against the bar with an arrogance that made my fingers curl. I hear you still live in Cedar Grove. Must be rough, must be hard to face your memories when I'm flaunting the life you could have had. I downed the whiskey in one bold move, feeling the heat crackle in my veins while I fought the urge to break the glass against his smug face. You think you know me. You don't know anything about my life since you decided slinking away was better than facing the music, I said, slamming the glass down on the bar, the sound drawing glances from nearby patrons. Please, life must be dull in Cedar Grove without me, he replied smoothly, his voice turning mockingly sweet. What's next, Leela? Are you going to join a knitting club or something? I hear the local women like to meet at the community center on Thursdays. Ridiculous, I replied, staring into his eyes, searching for cracks beneath his facade. If he was as fine as he acted, why was there a hint of uncertainty lurking behind those charming words? Don't you have better things to do than throw old insults at me? What better thing is there than seeing how you've turned out? Eric leaned in closer, a devilish gleam dancing in his eyes. You never did learn to be robust, did you? Always the fragile one. Fragile? I repeated, my voice raising with anger. You don't know the meaning of the word, Eric. You ripped my heart out and stomped on it, yet here I am, still standing. I think that might be more robust than you. He raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Maybe my rage had surprised him, or maybe he still saw me in that light of vulnerability he had always managed to undermine. Is that so? Well, I suppose you're back in the bar like this is old times. You look a bit different, though. I mean, have you swapped heartbreak for a bitter attitude? I shrugged, refusing to show him how deeply his words cut. I could feel the heat blooming in my cheeks, but I refused to back down. What can I say? Life has its ways of teaching lessons. I leaned forward slightly, lowering my voice. And the lesson you taught me was that I deserve way better than you. Unexpectedly, he just laughed, a genuine sound that twisted like a knife in my gut. And yet here you are, still drawn back to me. What does that say about you? Something inside me snapped. I stood tall, pulling my shoulders back, refusing to appear small in front of him. It says so much more about you. You're still the same guy who can't see past himself, who thinks he can make jokes while hiding behind your pain. But I've got a plan, and it doesn't include you. Eric's laughter faded, his expression shifting from playful to wary, just for a moment. A plan? Color me intrigued. This is not a game, I said urgently, my heart pounding as adrenaline coursed through me. You think I'm here for you? I'm not. People like you need to face the consequences of their actions, and I am not going to be the recipient of your misplaced charm anymore. He studied me for a moment, eyes narrowing as if he were trying to decipher a code. And what do you mean by consequences? You think you're going to expose me, Leela? You think people will believe you? After everything he had done to me, every memory that made me tremble with rage, I could feel that bitter smile creeping back onto my face. Oh, darling, they will believe me, because the truth has a way of surfacing, just like you have a way of digging your own grave. His expression transformed from playful bravado to genuine indignation, and I could see the anger bubbling beneath his surface. Don't think you can come in here and play the victim card with me. You were never the victim in our story, Leela. You could have left, but you chose to stay. That's on you. Is that right? I challenged, leaning closer, my voice a whisper now laced with fire. You fail to understand that some people fight back, Eric, and I'm about to show you just how powerful revenge can be. For a brief moment, the room fell silent around us, as if everyone had paused to listen to our heated exchange. Eric shifted, suddenly uncomfortable beneath my piercing gaze. I can't imagine what you think you're going to do, but just know, a little girl like you playing with fire could burn herself. I chuckled darkly, tilting my head slightly, savoring the taste of my own power. Maybe you need to reconsider what little girl means, Eric. I'm no longer the naive Leela you once knew. I've grown up, and I'm ready to unleash a version of me that you have no idea exists. With a slight flick of his wrist, he waved off my words, but I could see the slightest crack of uncertainty in his demeanor. Bring it, Leela. Just be careful what you wish for. As he turned to rejoin his friends at the table, I stood frozen, feeling the weight of our conversation settle heavily in the air. The anger and indignation coursing through me formed a ball in my chest, propelling me forward. I would show him just how powerful I could be. Max, I called, my voice steady yet firm, refusing to waver. I could feel the determination solidifying within me. Pour me another drink. I glanced at Eric once more, a twisted smile creeping across my lips. It was time for the wheels of revenge to begin turning, and I was going to savor every moment. I would not be the ghost of heartbreak anymore. I would be the storm that swept through his carefully crafted life, leaving only the debris of his arrogance behind. I stood in front of the mirror in my cramped bathroom, my reflection a mixture of nerves and determination. The soft glow of the light above me cast harsh shadows across my face, illuminating the resolve etched into my brow. I could hear the muffled sounds of Cedar Grove outside, the quiet hum of life continuing on without any idea of the storm brewing within me. The tick of the wall clock held my attention, each second echoing like the beating of my heart. After the chaos of last night, the ground beneath me felt unsteady. I took a deep breath, inhaling the sterile scent of the antiseptic soap that lingered from my earlier washing of hands. My fingers trembled as I applied the last touches of makeup, red lipstick staining my lips like blood, symbolic and vibrant. I needed to look fierce. I needed to be fierce. The plan was set, and I was ready to execute it like a soldier on a mission. I had waited long enough. Bringing myself back to the present, I focused on the task at hand. Tonight was the last chance to confront Alex. It had been 7 years since betrayal seeped into my veins, and I could almost feel my blood boiling at the thought of how he had ruined everything I cherished. The clinking of glasses, the laughter spilling from the nearby bar encouraged me to tighten my grip on my resolve. I took one last look in the mirror, whispered words of strength to myself, and stepped out, stepping into the crisp night air. The evening sky was painted in rich shades of indigo, stars flickering like scattered diamonds against the velvet canvas. I wrapped my coat tightly around me, feeling a mix of exhilaration and fear ripple through my body. The paved streets of Cedar Grove glistened under the streetlights, puddles reflecting the celestial brilliance above. I walked purposefully, the rhythm of my boots echoing on the wet pavement. "Leela!" A voice called from behind me, jerking me out of my thoughts. I turned to see Harper, my best friend since childhood, hurrying to catch up. "You are not going to that bar alone, are you?" Her tone was a mixture of concern and disbelief, her brow furrowed like she had just poured cold water over my daring plan. "You know I have to," I replied, tinged with a hint of frustration. It wasn't just about revenge, it was about closure, about reclaiming what was mine. "You don't have to do this on your own. I know what he did to you, Leela. You know how he hurt you." Her voice softened, a pleading lilt. I drew in a breath, my chest tightening at the memories flooding my mind. "I need to face him, it's time." Harper stepped closer, concern knitting her features together. "But confronting him will only open old wounds. What if it gets out of hand? I don't want to see you hurt again." I could see her worry, the way her hands twitched near her sides as if willing herself to grasp onto something concrete. "It won't," I said firmly, although uncertainty flickered in my mind. I couldn't promise I wouldn't be hurt, that was impossible, but I could promise that I wouldn't let him have power over me any longer. The shimmering lights of the bar came into view, laughter and music spilling into the night as I approached, each step feeling like I was walking toward my destiny. Harper planted herself firmly next to me, her eyes darting toward the entrance. "Let me at least go in with you. We can be a team." "Together?" I nodded slowly, appreciating her loyalty, but there was a fire inside me that was mine alone to ignite. "You can wait outside if you want, but I need to do this alone. This is my fight, Harper." I smiled softly, knowing her heart ached despite how fierce and reliable she had been throughout my life. "Just promise me you will call if you need me." Her voice cracked slightly, betraying the calm front she was trying to maintain. I nodded, squeezing her shoulder. "I promise." We stepped inside, the heat of the bar enveloping us like a warm embrace. A wave of nostalgia swept over me as I scanned the room, the dim lights casting a golden hue against the dark wood of the bar. It was a familiar sight, one that brought back memories of laughter and joy before everything changed. My heart raced with each passing moment as I felt Alex's presence in the air, even before I spotted him. His collared shirt, the cocky smile, the way he leaned back in his chair made him look like a king in his castle. With every step forward, I felt the weight of my resolve bearing down heavily upon me. Alex was surrounded by friends, their robust laughter echoing against the walls and mingling with the faint notes of music. I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms as I fought against the rising tide of bitterness. He looked up suddenly, his gaze colliding with mine. The playful banter amongst his friends ceased, leaving an awkward silence hanging in the air, like they could sense the tension building. My heart thundered a warning, but I pressed on, determined to be the storm that would shake him from his throne. "Leela," he said, his initial surprise shifting to amusement, as if I were a ghost he never expected to see. "I was wondering when you would pop back into my life." His tone dripped with sarcasm, like he had practiced the line while pretending I wasn't a crucial piece of his past. I stood still, tasting the bitterness of my reality as his friends squinted at me, curiosity alight in their eyes. Here to reminisce about old times, or are you still clinging on to that pathetic grudge? I swallowed hard, a flood of emotions battling inside me. My voice came out steady despite the turmoil. Actually, I am here to confront you. The laughter returned to his friends, mockingly egging him on as if they were witnessing an elaborate play. I could feel the color rising in my cheeks, but I held my ground, pushing past them and taking a bold step closer to Alex. Do you have anything to say about how you manipulated me? About how you twisted the truth until it became your weapon? His face shifted slightly, a flicker of defensiveness. Come on, Leela. Are we really going to dredge up the past? His dismissive tone clawed at me, but I bit back the urge to scream. I am not here to rehash the past for your entertainment, Alex. I need answers. You owe me that much. His smile faltered, allowing me a glimpse of the man he had once been and the coward he had become. The bar surrounding us buzzed with life, but in this moment it felt like we were wrapped in a bubble, our every word echoing in the air like the thunder before the storm. What do you want me to say? Sorry? Is that it? You need to get over it. Each word was yet another dagger, slicing through my composure. I refused to let him diminish my pain. Over it? Do you know what it feels like to trust someone and then to have that trust shattered? You took my heart and crushed it, and here I am, still picking up the pieces. Please. He rolled his eyes dismissively, but I pressed on, refusing to let him escape my words. No, really, Alex, you need to hear me. I was broken because of you. My life spiraled because I couldn't function, couldn't breathe without the weight of losing you hanging around my neck like a noose. I deserved more than what you gave me, and I want you to realize that. My voice rose, cutting through the noise of the bar and causing heads to turn. A part of me felt a surge of anger, a raw energy surging through my body like wildfire. Alex's friends watched silently, their faces masks of curiosity and amusement morphing into something resembling concern. I'm sorry, Leela. I really am, he finally said, but the way he said it felt hollow, like an actor reciting lines rather than someone truly meaning it. You weren't even really in my life after all. Not in your life? You ripped my heart out, Alex. I didn't care who heard or who decided to judge. You played me like a fool, an emotional puppet. I let you walk all over me, and then you tossed me aside like I was nothing. His expression shifted, defensive walls erecting around him as he realized he couldn't brush me off. You think you are the only one who suffered? You made choices too, Leela. Maybe you just weren't good enough to keep me. Each word was like a slap, but I stood firm even as his words cut deeper. I felt anger bubbling up inside me, a fiery rage that ignited a long-dormant part of me. I was good enough, Alex. I deserved loyalty. I deserved honesty. Do you even realize how much you hurt me? The scars you left? You can't just dismiss that walking away doesn't make a difference. My voice cracked at the end, but I regained my composure. You can't wash your hands of this like it never happened. Silence hung between us, thick and suffocating, a palpable tension that threatened to explode. I could hear the clinking of bottles behind the bar, the muffled laughter of patrons nearby blending with the rhythmic beat of music. I took a steady breath, locking eyes with him. You might want me to disappear, to vanish as if I never existed, but I won't let you win. This is my life, and I am reclaiming it. The crowd flared with energy around us, but here we were, two souls entwined in a battle of wills. What will it take to end this, Leela? You've made your point, he said dismissively, but I could see the flicker of uncertainty in the depths of his eyes. I'm not done, I declared, feeling the spark of passion surge through me. I want you to understand precisely how much you've affected me. I want you to understand that your betrayal didn't just break my heart, it reshaped my life. It transformed me into someone stronger, someone who won't let you own her narrative. For a moment, the atmosphere shifted, the laughter and music fading into the backdrop as we faced each other. I had spent so long feeling small in front of him, and now it felt like I was reclaiming my power. I have grown, Alex. I have built a life from the ashes you left behind, but it comes at a cost, and tonight I will make sure you understand what choices mean, how they ripple through lives. His face paled slightly, and for the first time I felt like I truly had the upper hand. What do you mean by that? His voice wavered, and I smiled softly at how far the mighty had fallen. I mean that you can never take away my power again. Not now, not ever. Just then, the bartender, a portly man with a thick mustache, chose that moment to intervene, sensing the growing tension. Is everything all right here, folks? He asked, trying to bridge the gap that felt dangerously close to bursting. We were just having a little chat, Alex replied casually, but the tremor in his voice betrayed him. Well, make sure it stays friendly. The bartender shot a wary glance between us before turning back to serve other patrons. But I didn't let his presence deflate me. I leaned in closer, the scent of Alex's cologne filling my senses, the warmth of his body nearby a reminder of all the times I had let him get too close. You have lost everything good about yourself, Alex, and you will continue to lose until you understand the damage you did. With that, I stepped back, feeling the power of my words wrap around me like an invisible cloak. I watched him, waiting for a crack in his bravado, a hint that my words were finally reaching the core of him. Something shifted in his expression, an acknowledgement of a truth he had long buried. I could see the guilt flicker across his face for just a moment, but it vanished almost instantly. You are pathetic, Leela. You can stand up here and shout, but it won't ever change what happened. His words stung, but I didn't allow his negativity to penetrate my armor anymore. No, but I will stand here for my truth, and maybe, just maybe, that will matter in the end. I turned on my heel, striding away from him, feeling a sense of finality wash over me. I had made my stand, and that was enough. The bar faded behind me, the cacophony of voices replaced with the wind whispering secrets as I emerged into the cool night air, inhaling deeply as if I had stepped out of a cage. The world still turned, life went on, and I knew that while the scars may never fade, I could finally begin to live again. I stood outside the warehouse in Cedar Grove, the place that had marked the end of one story and the beginning of another, breath fogging in the crisp night air. The streets were eerily quiet, the hum of distant cars playing a soft melody against the solid walls of the surrounding buildings. It was a stark contrast to the chaos that had filled my life for the last few months. As I took a breath, I could taste the metal tang of adrenaline mixed with the faint smell of damp concrete. This was it. The final confrontation, the moment I had been building toward since everything had fallen apart. Just get it over with, Leela, I whispered to myself, needing the encouragement. My voice felt swallowed by the void, but it gave me some semblance of control. I smoothed my hair back, tucking some strands behind my ear, suddenly aware of how much I needed to iron out my appearance. I wanted to look composed, ready. But inside, my heart pounded like a war drum, fueled by the anticipation of what was about to happen. This time, I wouldn't be the helpless victim. This time, I was the storm. With every step towards the enormous steel door, the air seemed to grow denser. The weight of what I had planned pressed on my shoulders, and the flickering overhead light cast shadows that danced around me, whispers of my intentions echoing in the solitude. I reached for the door handle, my fingers brushing against the cold metal. The door creaked open slowly, revealing a dimly lit interior filled with silence. I stepped inside, the sound of my boots on the concrete floor reverberating through the space like a gunshot in a graveyard. In front of me, the vast emptiness of the warehouse stretched out, filled with heavy machinery and the remnants of past labor. I took a moment to absorb it, feeling the heat of my resolve and the chill of the past crash together. Somewhere in this vastness awaited my mark, Jason Reed, the man who had tipped my life into chaos, leaving my heart shattered and my sanity clawing to pieces. Leela, a lean figure, stepped out from behind a stack of metal crates. His face was shadowy but familiar, and I felt my pulse quicken, anticipation mixing with the anger that fueled my determination. You should not be here. Jason's tone was low, casual, almost mocking. It sent a shiver through my spine. Yet here I am, I replied, trying to inject strength into my voice despite the tremor that tickled at its edge. You thought you could just walk away, didn't you? Like nothing had happened. He stepped closer, the light finally catching his features, messy hair, sharp jawline, and those icy blue eyes that had once drawn me in, now cold and calculating. I didn't think you'd follow me here. I figured you'd have given up by now. Oh, I have given up on you. But not on what you did to me, Jason, I said, holding my ground. I could feel the fire in my stomach surge. You threw my life away like it was nothing. You made me feel small and worthless, but I'm not that person anymore. Come on, Leela, he chuckled lightly, stuffing his hands into his pockets as if he were discussing the weather rather than the wreckage he had left behind. You were never worth much to begin with. His words hit me hard, but instead of crumbling, I anchored myself deeper within my resolve. You have no idea who I am. You haven't seen the way I've rebuilt myself from the ashes you left behind, and now you're going to see just how powerful I can be. Is that so? What do you think you can do? You think you'll scare me? He stepped even closer, the confidence dripping from his words. You've always been weak, Leela. You've always let people walk all over you. Maybe, I admitted, feeling a strange sense of calm wash over me. But weak things can become strong in time. You'll regret underestimating me. There was silence for a moment, I could feel the tension in the air, a thick fog of animosity and unresolved issues swirling around us. The thrill of defiance coursed through my veins. "Tell me, Jason, how does it feel knowing your past is catching up to you?" He smirked, but it was shaky, revealing the cracks in his bravado. "I have nothing to fear. You're alone, you've always been alone. Nobody is going to believe you over me." Oh, how wrong he was. I was not alone. I had allies in unexpected places. I took a small step back, my heart racing. "You're wrong. I have the truth on my side, and trust me, it has a way of coming out." "What truth?" he shot back, his intensity growing. "The truth of a broken woman too weak to fight back? Don't make me laugh." I took a deep breath, digging deeper for the power I had nurtured over these past months. "The truth is I'm standing here because I choose to stand. The truth is I'm ready for the world to know what you really are, a coward hiding behind your lies." He scoffed again, but I noticed the uncertainty creeping into his eyes. "And what exactly do you plan to do? Call the cops?" "Oh please, Leela, you wouldn't do that." "No, Jason, I will do better than that." I smirked, heart pounding with the rush of adrenaline. "You see, I've learned from you. I've learned that the people we trust can easily become our worst enemies. You taught me that." He stepped back, surprised, his confidence wavering. "What are you talking about?" "I've connected the dots." I held my head high, feeling the steel in my voice. "You never acted alone. Your friends, the ones who laughed behind closed doors while I cried, the ones who helped you drown me in shame, they had a hand in this too. And now?" My phone buzzed in my pocket, a series of messages I had set to send. "They're about to find out exactly what a coward you are. The world will know what a monster you are." "What are you saying? You wouldn't dare." His demeanor shifted as panic seeped into his voice, his previously cocky demeanor cracking like cheap glass. "I have the texts, the proof, everything," I declared, feeling a rush of victorious energy igniting my stance. "And if I press send, this all changes. You think I was the only one you hurt? Let's spread the truth." "No." He shouted, stepping toward me, but I held my ground, unwavering. "Yes, send, now." With trembling fingers, I hit the button and watched the little progress circle spin as the texts broadcasted into the ether. I felt a stir of triumph because I had harnessed my pain into power. "You can't do this." Jason's tone dropped to a dangerous whisper, almost a plea. "Oh, but I can," I jeered, feeling freedom dance around me. "I reunited with those you thought were broken, and together we planned this moment. You think you can control the narrative? You're wrong." I pulled back, my heart racing, relishing in the moment. I had finally taken the power back. "You'll be hearing from people you thought you left behind, Jason. You'll regret ever crossing my path." The panic and realization washed over him as if the light bulb inside his head had finally clicked on. "You're not serious," he spat, his bravado failing him entirely. "I am deadly serious." I stepped closer, invading his space, feeling the weight of the victory pushing against his cowardice. "Maybe I was weak once, but I promise you I am done with being your pawn." His expression twisted, fury mixed with fear, and it felt like nothing could stand between me and the triumph I had craved for so long. "They won't believe you. You are still nothing to them." I smiled softly. "We'll see about that, Jason." Every syllable was filled with the strength I had fought so hard to discover. "And now, you're the one who's nothing." In that moment, I realized how truly liberating it felt to see him crumble before me. He was no longer the giant I feared. I was the force to be reckoned with. My past had shaped me. My pain had forged my determination. "Walk away, Jason. Don't look back. Save yourself before the storm hits." He sputtered, his face flushed with anger and desperation, and with an almost defeated glare, he turned to exit the warehouse, but not before one final attempt at bravado. "You think this is over, Leela? You think you've won? You're delusional." I shook my head, a smirk still gracing my lips as I watched him retreat into the shadows. "No, Jason, I'm just getting started." The air felt lighter as I stood alone in the warehouse now. I had done it. What started as an ugly chapter in my life was closing, and I could finally breathe easy, knowing I had taken my life back. I could hear the soft buzz of my phone echoing through the warehouse, signaling that the truth was already seeping into the lives of those who had once cut me down. I had emerged from the ashes, stronger than ever, ready for a new beginning. I was no longer the girl Jason once knew. I was a force of change, a symbol of resilience, and I vowed to use my strength to lift others up, just as I had risen. I stepped out into the cool night air, welcoming the stars twinkling overhead as I walked away from the warehouse, leaving the past behind. The road was open, and my future awaited, filled with endless possibilities.